Are you ready to create a killer business brand from the ground up in 2024? In this video, I'm going to show you how to do it in just a few simple steps. And at the end, I'll give you a cheat sheet that's paint by number simple. Brand can be the difference between life and death in a business. It could be the reason that you aren't getting sales. A brand is a lot more than just a logo. It's about the feelings that people have when they think about your company. Your brand is really just what people think and feel about your business. Without a good brand, it's hard to get people interested in what you do. So building a brand is all about trust. It means making sure people believe in you and what you offer. Think about famous brands like Apple and Nike. They make a lot of people feel good. They feel excited. But then there are some brands, like maybe a political party you might not like, that can make people feel not so good. That shows how powerful a brand can be. And if we take a minute to analyze companies like Apple or Nike who have strong brands, they didn't merely sell products. They offered stories, emotions, an experience. They mean something to you more than the name. Think about it. When you think about an Apple product, you're not thinking about a fruit. That's nowhere in your mind. They've completely established something that is completely different in your mind. Even though the word says Apple, you're not thinking that. You're thinking a phone, you're thinking maybe VR headset, you're thinking a laptop. They've established something that is completely different and created a brand in your mind. Whether or not you love Apple products, they've created something truly unique. So now it's your turn. Let's make a brand for you. Every amazing story begins with a reason why, just like every great brand does. And for years, I thought this exercise was bullshit and I couldn't do it. But when I did, not only did I start creating real brands, but my companies started taking off. So take this seriously. Even though you might think it's bullshit like I did, the first step towards our amazing brand is defining our core values. What our company truly means, who you are. Now, as an example, here are the values from one of my companies. First, play for the logo. We play for the brand and what it means. We don't partake in or accept workplace drama or politics. So for instance, this is one of the core values where my team is bought into the fact that we're playing for the logo. We're doing the right thing for the brand, not for ourselves. We're not doing drama. We are not playing politics. We're in it to win it for the logo. Second, play like it matters. We take initiative, we get resourceful, we do it, we own it. We grow ourselves and our team by leaning in and trying things. You see what I'm doing here in these first two? I'm just setting the ground rules for how the company operates internally and the contract between all of us. What are we agreeing to do and how are we agreeing to do it together? Third, we have quick moves and clear grooves. We move fast and decisively because we've planned in advance. Number four, say it, mean it, hear it. Communication matters. We update the team. We tell it like it is. We have a thick skin and we welcome feedback. Last, our word is our bond. We are reliable and do what we say we will when we say we will. Now, yours don't have to be these. These are mine for one of my companies. And every company could have unique core values. But the point is that we have them and everyone agrees on them. And I reinforce them constantly. It's the standard of behavior. Now, again, this might sound like BS. Yours can be whatever you want them to be. You get to make the rules. You need to write them down. And even if it's just you in the company, if you're just a solo founder starting out, you still do this exercise. So now you've written them down and now you know how your team deals with each other. And not only that, you know how your team deals with customers, partners, vendors, everybody. Following this comes to crafting a vision. This is your North Star. It guides your actions, your decisions within your organization. Now, you may ask yourself, what does this have to do with branding? But you are now asking yourself, what change you want to make in the world with your company in the next 10 years? And these core values will help you get there. This is all about brand, the feeling that your company is going to create in the world because of how your team interacts, because of how you interact with everyone else in the world. And this idea, this vision of what you want to be in 10 years comes from those core values. So now you think about, what is that vision? What do you want to be in 10 years? And this has to be bigger than what you sell. If all you are thinking about is, oh, I just want to sell $20 million worth of stuff, that's not enough. It should be about the change that you've made for your customers. So you've got your core values and you've got your 10-year vision. And with those two things, you have a template for a brand. Knowing where you're going and knowing how you'll interact with people to get there. Those two things make it so much clearer, not just to you, but to the outside world. They're going to know how to feel about you by how they interact with you. And all of the things that you're going to publish on the internet, all of your marketing, it's all going to be really coherent. So now we've got that buttoned up. The next piece is just as important. It's time to define your brand's personality. Now, you'll see that great brands talk to their customers in a certain way. They have a voice. The shortcut to one of these voices is simple. Just think of a movie character who reflects the attitude and communication style that you should have. So think about it. Do you want your brand to be sophisticated or fun or powerful? And you can choose from superheroes, spies, and comedians. This character shorthand lets you write advertising, lets you create your website, anything else with a distinctive voice, because now you've got that character in your mind. All you have to do is imitate what they would say and how they would say it. And no one needs to know what this character is. That can be completely internal, but it'll come through in your brand voice because you've picked it and you're being consistent. Instead of one thing being written one way, the way one of your team members would, another one being written a different way, like an agency would, that doesn't work. But when you say, hey, write this like Iron Man would write it. Now people have this idea in their head. Okay, well, that's how it would be said. So shifting now to the visual. So we've talked about your core values. We've talked about where you're going. Now we've talked about the voice. Now let's talk about the visual piece. For a brand, there are logos, color schemes, typography, a whole bunch more. And these design elements aren't just cosmetic. They have the power to stir emotions also and communicate your brand message visually in an instant. The reason I talk about this after the core values and the vision and the voice is that these logos and colors reflect those things. The logo isn't the beginning. The logo comes after those things. And you shouldn't have, for instance, a serious brand personality. You've decided that want a very buttoned up and serious brand personality because maybe you're an estates planning attorney and you want to be more serious and you're talking about serious things. Now, then you wouldn't have a brand and a logo that uses fun colors and funky fonts, right? That wouldn't be brand consistent. And consistency is crucial here. You make your visual elements and you stick with them. It's the first thing that a potential customer will notice. Now, before they become a customer, they'll notice your brand voice if maybe you're publishing on social media. But once they come in contact with your brand as a potential customer, they're going to start to notice these things. They're going to start to notice the color and the logos and the typography. And when this is used effectively, it conveys the personality of your brand. It reinforces the personality, and it also makes it instantly recognizable to an audience. And that helps build brand recognition and trust, because we know that people don't just come in and buy the very first time they encounter you. They're going to encounter you multiple times. And if every time they encounter you, it's slightly different visually, it's a slightly different way of phrasing things, that inconsistency is not creating a single picture in their head. And that means they're more likely to go find somebody else who's got a consistent brand, and that message reinforces itself time over time. That's going to build up trust faster. But if you haven't done this, and every time they encounter you, it's something that feels different, they're not sure. Remember, they don't care about you. They care about their problems. And when they care about their problems, they want to know that you are the one to solve those problems. So let's look at some real examples where brands have effectively utilized design and the design elements to mirror their personality. So you could check out Google, those playful colors, or Louis Vuitton with kind of a graceful logo. Apple is sleek and minimalist, that design aesthetic that goes through their whole website. It reflects a commitment to simplicity and to elegance. Then there's Coca-Cola. It's the red color and the script that looks kind of nostalgic. It evokes tradition. It hasn't changed in 100 years. So those little attention to detail in design is what sets successful brands apart. And it creates lasting connections with the consumer. And it doesn't matter if you're a startup. You're not Coca-Cola. You're not Apple. However, the same principles apply, and you really should learn from that. Now that you have a brand design, you have a voice, You have core values. You have a vision. It's time to reach out to the world. Brands are only real when other people see them. Because remember, the brand lives in the customer's mind. And it's about trust and associating you with that trust. So your strategy should be to create content that's high quality and reflects that brand voice, those core values. So how you do this is decide which social media platforms best match your brand and have your audience. So for instance, if you're appealing to younger audiences, you might focus more on TikTok and less on LinkedIn. If your demographic is older, you're probably choosing Facebook more than Instagram. And you're thinking through what type of content would perform well on each platform for that audience. So by understanding the features of each platform and who's on them, you can be most cost and time effective creating content. Again, using all the things that we talked about earlier in this video. As entrepreneurs and company owners, sure, we want a ton of money, but we also want to get there with customers and team members that make the ride fun. You don't want to deal with people who just aren't bought in. It's not worth the time. Find your tribe, and you find that tribe through building brand. And that's exactly what a well-crafted brand enables us to accomplish. So if you've got questions on how to make your branding amazing, drop them in the comments.